Hello, YouTube. How you doing? It's me, Miss J, and here I am once again in the lovely Champagne Dreams Productions home office, also known as the Mama Champagne Commemorative Rose Room. I've been doing some cleaning and organizing in here today, and Dawn had asked me earlier, let's see if I can summon her by speaking her name. She had asked me if I was going to be coming on live, so I was like, you know what? I'm at a good place to stop. I was starting to get a little heated up. My hair's starting to look a little wild. The lesbian math teacher has gone rogue. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and pop on and talk. And as I was cleaning, I found a couple of things. Where did I set them? How did I already lose them? Seriously, where did I put them? I don't know. Is this content? Oh, I put them. I know where I put them. Okay. What am I doing? Hello, Dawn. I was just saying, I was hoping that I could manifest you by saying your name, and here you are. So yes, I did come on again today, and I was doing some cleaning, and I just posted this on my post tab. Hello, Alex. Welcome, welcome. I should make sure I have all chat turned on. Let's see, live chat. There we go. Hello, CJ. Nice to see you. And I found some things. So I did just post this on my post tab, but now you're going to get the full scoop. You're going to get the whole thing. I found a couple of picture frames. Not that they were lost, but just like as I was moving stuff around, I was like, oh yeah, I've got these things. So this is a photo. This is probably the first like actual photo shoot that I ever did. Excuse me, pretty girl. And you'll notice that it looks very like Sears Portrait Studio. This was at a college campus. My friend Cameron worked at a college campus, and he was going to that college campus, and he knew somebody who did photography there, and they had a backdrop, and I needed an author photo. So he was just like, come, we'll do a photo. And I look a little bit maybe cross-eyed in this picture. I've got this horrible wig that I bought for $20. It was supposed to be sort of like a Marilyn Monroe style. I bought this for $20 from Joseph's School of Hair Design. They sold some like wigs that I don't know if it was like stuff that they had gotten in and then people styled them and then they sold them or whatever. But I got this wig for $20. I've got a little like fluffy ostrich feather thing in my hair. I've got this like boat neck sweater with sequins that I got at Catherine's. Very, very sexy, very Midwestern housewife. Love it. Don says my cleaning is done, so my car packed up going home tomorrow. Excited for you to go home. That sounds fun. I was going through old photos today and cleaning up stuff. It is a good picture. Yeah, this is early makeup, so you don't even really see makeup. Those are my real eyebrows. Get a load of that. Those were my actual real so when I say like my hair darkened and my eyebrows never did, look at that. That's the proof right there. Like I used pencil on those, and that's still how light they are. And so this is crazy. Like there's no makeup on my face. It's so wild. That face, look at that. And those lips, I was not overdrawing my lips very much. I mean, wild, wild, wild. Dawn is happy that she's leaving the cats. She's sad that she's leaving the cats in White House. Happy to go home and be with mom. Love that. Yeah, so I love this. So I found this, and this was my author photo for this. This was the other picture that I found. So this was the column header for my column in Girl Talk magazine that I did for a little while. And I've posted on my post tab about Girl Talk magazine before, but I don't know that we've ever done like a full, like a live discussion of, sorry, I'm just checking email notifications here. The Bismarck drama continues. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. Not drama. It's not really drama anymore. But so there is my column header. So this is for Girl Talk magazine. So Girl Talk magazine was a magazine. I looked kind of cute. Like I look so young in this picture. I mean, I look so freaking young. And so like I'm pretty well preserved, but especially when I see a picture like this, I'm like, oh, yep. There's been some years. I just can't believe how little, because now I put on so much makeup. But that was also like in the late 90s. That was kind of the thing. Like drag queens weren't doing, the pageant girls might have been doing it by then. And some of that then started to filter out into the rest of the drag world. But like drag queens weren't doing the big eye looks like I do now and the cut creases and all that kind of stuff. Like they were doing more like slightly vamped up like real girl looks. And so I do think she's cute. That wig is a hate crime though. That wig is terrible, but she cute. She cute. It's because we stay out of the sun absolutely well preserved like vampires. So I can't remember. Maybe as we look at the date, I'll try to figure out how this all lines up because I don't remember. I did work at our local porn store for a little while, like 2 years or something like that. And I can't remember if this is before or after. But one time, some friends and I had gone into the porn store for something. I don't know what we were doing. I don't know if it was any kind of thing. But we were just kind of browsing around or whatever. And in the like queer section of the magazines, remember magazines? Do you remember magazines? I used to love a magazine. I used to get magazines all the time. So as part of when I joined the Mac Pro program, they had a thing where you could get, it was, I forget what the magazine, was it called Stage Directions or was it a different one? There was some like monthly theatrical magazine that you could get for free if you were part of the Pro Makeup program. And I got that magazine even after I was out of the Mac. You just had to keep like sending them a renewal. You just had to tell them you still wanted it and that you still read it. And I got that magazine for years, even after I was out of the, like they never checked if you were still part of it. You had to send your credentials at first, but once you started getting it, as long as you filled out the renewal notice, you could keep getting it. And I got that magazine for years. I used to get Elle when Project Runway was doing all of their stuff because Nina Garcia was like every time Heidi Klum would say, and our guest judge, she wasn't a guest judge, but and our other judge, Nina Garcia, the way she would say Nina Garcia was so funny. I don't know why I was so amused. It was just, she's got her little German accent that I think is so cute. But Nina Garcia was doing stuff at Elle and all the Project Runway stuff was in Elle. So I subscribed to Elle for a while. I used to subscribe to Vogue for a while. I loved magazines. I wish magazines now, maybe with AI slop and all this shit where like people are just sick of AI everything, maybe print magazines will come back. Can we make that happen? Can we make it? Yes, the volume is consistent because I'm on a desktop now. So yes, it's very exciting. I bet you have fun stories. I do have some not always fun stories, sometimes questionable stories. Alex, it's not far. Unfortunately, I have to work home after, yeah. Isn't it a fun work-free vacation? Oh, the volume is consistent. I miss InStyle. I remember Cosmo. I still have some Elle magazines there. Yeah, I loved Elle and I loved Vogue. I used to get Elle because of the Project Runway stuff, but I loved Vogue and I thought I was one of those. I thought I was a fancy gay, and so I loved. And I used to say that I used to call Elle Vogue for Dummies. Because that was a goddamn, and I always forget to turn my little sound thing off here, but let me silence this. Silence. But yeah, so I used to call Elle Vogue for Dummies, and then I would call Cosmo Vogue for Sluts. That was my that was my taxonomy of magazines. It all came down from Vogue. They are thick, absolutely. Vogue was good. I used to just love to look at the fashion and all that kind of stuff. Well, I was going through the stuff and I found this magazine right here. So Girl Talk. And it said, enjoying the fun of the transgender lifestyle. Now I should say that like, obviously this is from like 2000. This is volume 4 of the magazine. And this came out in 2000. Where is your trademark? 2002. So obviously we've had 24 years of how our language around gender identity and gender presentation has changed. And so as we talk about this, like, I don't know that they necessarily were talking, they were talking about transgender in a very umbrella term. Like they were trying to any sort of gender variance they wanted to cover under that sort of umbrella. So this is enjoying the fun of the transgender lifestyle. And you can see, and they had Eddie Izzard. And I thought, that's cool, because I had just discovered Eddie Izzard not long before that. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And so I was like, this looks really, really fun. And they had this cover girl, Armin Ra. Well, let's see. I used to get the fitness magazine for women, had a Cosmo subscription until a couple years ago. Writing was getting so tiny, and they put color print on color background. these children today, they need to understand we have aging eyes. The bell sound alert was like punctuation for what you were saying. Yeah. The small print and print on colors. The only reason I had the subscription was because they kept sending it even though I wasn't paying it. Yeah, I loved it when I was getting that theater magazine. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And so when I picked this up and I was looking through it, there actually wasn't any like porn in here. There wasn't any explicit material. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's just kind of like a fashion magazine, but for cross-dressers and trans women and drag performers. And so here I have to give a shout out. This is Gina Lance. So this is the publisher. She's the one who started it. Gina Lance. And she's the one. So I saw this and I bought a copy. Maybe this copy. I might have ordered a copy of this. I think the other one, I read it so much that it might have gotten a little bit. This seems still in pretty good condition for it to be the one that I bought initially. But there was all kinds of ads for different websites and stuff. There used to be so much good drag shopping online. I'm sad about that. And they just had all these different like special report, like breaking out of the cross-dressing closet. So like people who are part of the magazine talking about different like events and trips that they went to and things like that, which I thought was so cool. Different people who worked with the magazine. And then they had a Deborah Jo Fondren, Playboy magazine's Miss September 1977. So they had like an interview with her and talking about different stuff. And then we have the Toilet Boys. They had this thing about a band called the Toilet Boys. And I just thought, I was going through this and I was like, this is so fun. Like I just loved. And then of course they had this full fashion spread. So this is Armin Ra. She's the cover girl. And so they had a whole like interview and fashion section with her. Just like beautiful early 2000s, but even like look at her eyes. So like how I was saying with my like author photo, like she's not doing crazy drag makeup. Like she's probably overlined her lips a little bit and her lashes are pretty big, but like this is not like, she clearly has her regular eyebrows. Like she's not shaving off her eyebrows and painting halfway up her forehead the way that I do now. So like drag makeup at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s was just a little bit more, I don't want to say subtle exactly, but and so I just thought this was really fun. And so then they had this like Bijou Deluxe, I think was her name, was somebody who did a lot of stuff. She was one of the like contract columnists or whatever. But so like Spring Fling, they've got this beautiful picture. And then on the next page, she's got all kinds of information about the makeup that she used to make that look. And so there was all this like makeup stuff, and I was super into makeup, and I was in the Mac Pro program because I just loved it. And then they have this, what was her name? Dina Desmond, behind the 8 Ball. So she used to bartend at Queen Mary's and at the Queen Mary, and she would go in drag and bartend, and she used to write all these stories about her weird like run-ins with patrons and things that I thought was really fun. Have a good night, Alex. I'm glad that you're here. I have a lot of Out Front magazines. They're like a queer scene and fashion magazine from the Denver area. Very fun. And so then they had to, and like somebody here is previewing stuff to do in New Orleans. They had Go Ask Alice. She's like a cross-dresser and a therapist. And so she would answer like reader letters and just different things about different like events and stuff. And then what I loved, and someday maybe I'll do like more of a video, but they had this thing. So like they called it Female, We Are Not Alone. And people could write in and they could like send a picture of themselves. Because a lot of these people were cross-dressers who might have been married. Maybe their partner didn't even know that they liked to cross-dress. Or maybe they could only cross-dress at home. Like maybe their partner or their family knew, but they couldn't go out into the world anywhere. And so like this gave them a place to like share their photo and like just say like, oh, I had so much fun, or I loved this about your magazine. I love this. And so I just love that they did this. I just thought it was so cool. This is not the one. I was hoping that, but yeah, so people would send it, and some would send in kind of funny photos, and some would send in like very serious photos, like down here, this one where she's kind of laughing at the camera or whatever. And there's one in there where there was this cross-dresser, and she was like 80 some years old. And she's like, I've never been able to go out in public. And it was just, and so many people then like wrote in after that and were like, we love you and adore you. You're fabulous. And so I just thought it was such good quality. And of course, this was, 2002-ish. So I was much younger than I am now. And I was a little bit crazy and a little bit ballsy. And so I just decided, I like found her email, Gina Lance's email. And I wrote to her and I was like, could I write for your magazine? And I'm sure she got stuff like that all the time. So I did get a response. I do have to credit her that I did get a response. But it wasn't very like encouraging. It was just like, here's the process to send in a sample article, blah, blah, blah. It was very like copy and paste. But then I sent in a sample and she was like, we would like to give you a column if you would like to write one. It's not a paid gig, but we can send you some copies of the magazine to like hand out to people and stuff like that. I mean, it was very that, like, this was, I know now every time people are like, never work for free. And it's like, well, sometimes you either work for free or you don't work. So I was like, I'll send you a few free articles. This published like every 2 months or something. And so there was like, or maybe it was only 4. I can't remember exactly. But so I've got a bunch of them. And so then, let's see, I'm trying to remember when my first, because now I think I have, I'm pretty sure I might be missing one, but I think I have the full run of, and this isn't even, these aren't the earlier ones. So these are the ones that came. Yeah. So Jillian was before, let's see. So Armin Ra is the one I found. And then there's Brandy Warhol was on the cover of this one. Mimi Van Doren. So they had interviews with really interesting people. Yes, I think this one, Veronica Clark. I'm pretty sure this is my first article. And so because of like the lead times or whatever, it took a little bit of time for my article to come through. And I was way at the back. Like, let's be real. I was doing this for free. They liked me, but they were also just like, you're in North Dakota. We're all in LA. But you can give us a column for the end of the magazine. And I did, and I was happy to do it. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It was Veronica Clark, right? I'm pretty sure this is the first one. Was I confused? Is this not the one that has me? Let me see. So I'm like, I remember this cover though. I thought for sure this was the first one that had my article. Let me look at the table of contents. Let me look. Columns, Behind the Eight Ball, A Bite of the Big Apple, Go Ask Alice, Haute Couture, Neon Nights with Naomi, Female, The Big Easy Comment. Clearly it was not. So I don't know why I keyed in and thought that this was the next one. It was not. I think I was so obsessed that I figured that was going to be the first one. And then, so I bought it, and then it was not. No, this one. Okay, here we go. See, I'm even starting to get a little bit shady. Catherine Blue, Rhapsody of Blue. This should have me in it, right? Let me just make sure before I embarrass myself again. Behind the Eight Ball. Is this not me either? Behind the Eight Ball, Go Ask Alice, The Big Easy, A Bite of the Big Apple, 10 Tips. Neon Nights with Naomi, Female, Commentary. Okay. Clearly I don't even understand my own timeline. What is happening? What is going on? Is this it? I don't even want to say that this is it, but I think this might be Alexis Rivera, with Ann Miller, Urban Decay. They had a whole thing on Urban Decay, which I thought was really fun, Urban Decay makeup. This one has to be me. But at this point, I must have been in the magazine. Come on now. So Elegance and Humidity, A Bite of the Big Apple, Behind the Eight Ball, Northern Exposure. Okay. Clearly, I don't even know when this started. I thought I started earlier, but so there was my first ever. So that's from that same shoot. You can see it's a different pose. I was all about looking up and to the side. I don't know why I wasn't looking at the camera, but that was like my thing, because in this, the camera is straight on and I'm kind of looking up and to the side. And then in the author photo that I used, I'm kind of looking up and to the side. And so, let's see. Good night, everybody saying Google Eye. Hello, First Last. How are you doing? We're just talking about Girl Talk magazine. This magazine that I wrote for like 24, 23 years ago. that was for cross-dressers and drag queens and transgender girls. And they always said T-girl was like the thing at the time. Like that was, a lot of people use that because a lot of people didn't like the term cross-dresser and the term what's the one that indicated like the fetish? Why can't I think about the because that was like really common parlance of the time, was if you like dressed up for a sexual reason, you were, what was the term? What was the term? Why can't, it's kind of gone out of no, it wasn't that. So that definitely but they would use T-girl, and then there was like what is, it was when it was specifically for like sexual gratification. They used to use the term. It was part of the DSM. Why can I not remember? Oh my God, my brain just will not put this together. Not transsexual. No, it was people who just cross-dressed, but like at the time, people were very explicit to separate, like cross-dressers did it just for personal fulfillment, but if you did it for sexual fulfillment, it was a very different, let's see. This is so, my Google is so random. What are terms for cross-dressing as a fetish outdated? Transvestite. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. I don't, why I could not get that together. So that was because at that time in like the late 90s, the 2000s, for people who weren't like trans, where it wasn't like part of their like gender identity, they often divided it into like two camps. And it was like, if you were a transvestite, it indicated that there was like a very specific like sexual component. You did it for sexual fulfillment of some sort. There could be other aspects, other like social kinds of things, but it primarily had a sexual aspect. Cross-dressers did it for emotional fulfillment, psychological fulfillment. They weren't transitioning anyway. Yeah, but there wasn't that sexual component that was cross-dressing. The term is not really still used anymore. That's why I had such a hard time, because it's gone like out of my brain, because it's not really used anymore. But I know that that was something that was used a long time, used a lot around this time, and they were very much like, we're all about T-girls, we're all about fashion and beauty, and maybe it's part of your like everyday identity, or maybe it's an activity you partake in, but it's not necessarily a sexual activity. There were a few people that were like in the magazine that seemed to have a little bit more of a sexual element to their personal expression of it. But for the most part, the magazine was like, we're not about that life. If you want like sexual activity and nude photos and things like that, there's plenty of magazines out there, not anymore, including this magazine, but there's plenty of stuff out there. We want to be all about the fashion and the glamour and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know why I couldn't get there. I don't know why I couldn't get there. Yes, that is, it is probably progress that we don't use that term anymore. I don't, at the time I felt like it was useful as kind of a differentiation between different types of people, like cross-dressing and things like that. But it is a term that has had very like negative connotations. So I think it's probably for the best that it's gone. But there's my first article. Oh, I love this. Oh, so fun. And so it was just kind of about me and like talking about what it's like to be a big old drag queen in North Dakota. Now, a lot of the people in here weren't necessarily drag queens. That was the other thing, is there was a big focus. Gina Lance, as far as at the time anyway, I don't know if her identity has transitioned at all, but at the time she was very much presenting as, in my daily life, I am a heterosexual man, I am married, and I like to cross-dress. It's not sexual. I enjoy it for the, getting in touch with my feminine side, all this kind of stuff. So there weren't a lot of drag queens in here because there was a lot of that kind of crowd. Now, a lot of the like models would be drag queens or would be trans women, but a lot of the people who were like on the editorial staff and things like that, they were the straight men who did this as a hobby. Now, some of them I think might have, because Gina, that's the thing is like, I kind of lost touch with Gina. And then I was Googling one time, I think she passed away, but I read something that indicated she might have started transitioning. And so I think that her identity from when I knew her changed, evolved in a certain way. So it's great that gender dysphoria is in the DSM, though it is done intentionally so that medically gender affirming care would be covered. It's a sneak. Yeah, that's the thing is that's when it's in the DSM, it can be covered by insurance more easily because it is something that can be diagnosed and can be justified on those grounds. So like, I see what you're saying there, because I know that that's a big debate that I heard a lot of times when I was working on like different, I would go to different conferences and things, is there was a real divide between the people who were like, take this out, this shouldn't be a DSM, we shouldn't be stigmatizing this. And then the other side that was saying, well, if we have it in the DSM, it's something that can be diagnosed and potentially, you know, care can be covered by more. Still, there are going to be insurance companies. And as we've, you know, now years and years later, insurance companies just get worse and worse about what they will and won't cover. But yeah, that's it. You bring up a good point. Yeah, so this is my first column. So then we had, let's see, let me flip these upside down. Let's see, then we had, here's Shasta Reed. Is there anything? Angeline, we love that. There's some beauty, fashion, send in the gown. So there was always like makeup content. There was always beauty content. And then there was just so many ads for like shopping. This really was the golden age of being able to shop online for any kind of like drag queen, trans, cross-dresser, performer, burlesque. Like there were so many good, reputable websites where you could get really good stuff. Let's see, there were a couple that I missed. I do have an article in this one, it looks like, on page 69, lol. So let's see. Northern Exposure, Being Body Beautiful. Because this is when, who was it, lost a whole bunch of weight? I think it was Missy Elliott lost a whole bunch of weight. And so I wrote an article about being just a big old plus size loud drag queen and how all we had left was Margaret Cho because... And so just kind of like a fun, like taking on some fat phobia. So that was fun. So we did another article. Let's see. Kosal Sim. Very beautiful. Let's see what we've got here. Am I in here? Northern Exposure. I'm bumped back to page 80. So the skinny girls were like, get her to the back of the magazine. Let me see what we got. Where am I? In this new year, let's all take a step out of our shells and see what we can learn from one another and how much fun we can have. Oh, interesting. I need to go back and read some of these articles. Yeah, the photography is really beautiful in here. I can never tell. So there's... But again, you can tell it's 24 years ago because here we have like this ad on this other side. Why can't I figure out how to turn this? Okay. Sorry, spatial things, not like using transgendered with the ed as if it's like a verb form is certainly not the language we use today. Transgender is not a verb. You don't transgender someone. That's the MAGA cultists would have you believe that like your children are going to school and being transgendered by some woke non-binary blue-haired teacher. I had to read something that I laughed, and she's like, there's this woman who was like, my kid's school called me 2 times to make sure it was okay to give them an aspirin, and you think that people are getting sex reassignment surgery at school? Like, are you crazy? And so I love that. But yeah, so the idea of transgendered with an ed, that certainly is not part of. So there's definitely some things in here that have maybe not aged super well, but yes, here she is. So this is the one that I was telling you about. So this is, if I can show her, this is Aunt Laura. And so Aunt Laura started putting in photos, would send photos most issues, I think, would send in like a photo and a little story. She was so sweet. Oh yeah. she got to be known because I was just looking at this. So let me read you her little letter. And so, dear Gina, as you know, I have never met another crossdresser. It is very frustrating knowing there are so many girls around and I can't find them. I can't go to a computer as I don't have one and wouldn't know how to use one anyway. I plan on wearing my Girl Talk t-shirt on my male self. I would ask your readers in Citrus County, Florida, and surrounding communities to watch for an old guy wearing a Girl Talk t-shirt. If you see him, ask him if he knows Aunt Laura. You'll be making a new friend. Good night, Aunt Laura, Inverness, Florida. P.S. The enclosed photo is what I was wearing when I spoke to you on the phone. And then it said, so that's it. Aunt Laura, they put a little like note from the editor in here. And it says, that's it. Aunt Laura has broken the Girl Talk mold. We never solicit mail, but I want all interested to write Aunt Laura a note in care of Girl Talk. Just send us the mail and we'll ship it to her. And include your phone number if you'd like Aunt Laura to give you a call. I know she will. She really wants to meet people and make friends. And so Aunt Laura became this like beloved figure. And now I mean, you never really know, but this is 24 years ago. So it's most likely possible that Aunt Laura has passed. So I just love this. But she was saying she had never met another crossdresser. She didn't really have any opportunities to go out or anything, but she ordered a Girl Talk shirt and she's going to wear it around town and see if anybody noticed. She was so sweet. Looking back at this, I'm just like, oh, I need to go back and read all of the Aunt Laura letters because they are so lovely. They're so lovely. And she had that cute little like business suit put together. She does look like she means business because sometimes like these are, straight men who enjoy cross-dressing. Some of them, I will tell you, the outfit choices are sometimes questionable. I'm not trying to profile. I'm not, hand to God, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that some of the choices were choices. Oh, Don's in the mood for old L magazines. Huh? We're just talking about Girl Talk. We're just talking about Girl Talk magazine. So wholesome. Yeah, it's so sweet. She was so lovely. And like her letters are always just so beautiful. And I love in this one, I'm glad that in this one, I saw that they had just put out the note, like, if you want to send it to us, we'll send it to her. We're not going to publish her address, but if you want to send her a note, we will make sure she gets it. I love that. That's so sweet. Hello, Grace. How's it going? Nice to see you. Hello. And then this one had Dita Von Teese in it. And the cover girl, her name was Lucky Charms. And pretty soon we're going to get into a couple issues. Or maybe I might have to go back for some of them. But we'll talk about the Drag Race connections that we had. Because there are a couple as we go through. Let me see if I'm in this one. Because I think there was like one or two that I had to skip. I don't know if I just didn't hit the deadline or what was going on. So this does have a northern exposure. Let's see what I wrote about. Once again on page 80, getting booted to the back of the magazine. Once again. Love the one you're with. Your transfer. So here's the quote they pulled out. Your transformation should do more than create this separate persona. It should help you take the best qualities of that persona and apply them to your whole life. I've been talking about that a long time. When people talk about like, what's the difference between Janessa and Chris? I always find it a little bit weird when people talk about their drag persona. Like there are people that I know that talk about their drag persona like it's a separate human being. I find that a little creepy. Sometimes I'm like, okay, it's still me. Like, I understand I put on makeup, I put on wigs and fake titties and the whole thing. I understand I'm still under there. But there are definitely things, and that's what this whole article was about the fact that, which side is it? Why can't I have no spatial skills. And so this article was all about how, if you're going to build this persona, take the things that you loved from it and apply it to your regular life. Like there's certainly things that having performed in drag that I have, please upload this after. Yes, I will make sure that this gets transferred over to it. Although this should automatically become a video because I'm on my desktop. Again, I only have shenanigans when I'm on my phone. I don't know why this is. I just thought this was so fun. So this is that Lucky Charms shoot. And they did this like 50s B movie, like Space Girl kind of thing. I just thought it was so fun. They did some really kooky. I've got, here's kind of a gold look. They just, the fashion here, this was just such a well-made magazine. I think they did such a good. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about some of that Drag Race. Your more genuine self thing to be a little irritating, honestly. Even hearing from other trans people, it just feels like they're saying that's my whole personality. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, the pictures are great in here. Yeah, like that's I don't know. Like let me think on that. CJ. A little irritating. I've been hearing from other trans people. It just feels like you're saying that's my whole personality. I don't think it has to be about being trans your whole personality, but about like embracing, like if there are things, and maybe this is because I'm a drag performer, I'm coming from the place of like there were pieces that I built into that persona that I brought back into my life. But I'll sit with that for a little bit. But yeah, speaking of Drag Race, so here is Kelly Mantle, if you are a Drag Race fan. So here's somewhere on this page. I'm gonna stop trying to actually point things. So they did this whole like spring fashion tutorial. And I remember I wanted to figure out, now this works because it's on her body. That's why this works. But I was obsessed with trying to like figure out a little like dress like this that is basically like two scarves sewn together. There was no way on my, and I was much smaller in 2002, hard to believe, but even then it would have been a hard sell. It would have been a hard sell on my body. Taking those attributes, why can't I talk today? Taking those attributes most natural to the self and living into them. True. Yeah. Just like trying to, like, there was a lot with Janessa that when I was building that persona, I did end up finding things that I wished I had more in my everyday life. Yeah, Kelly Mantle. This is like from 2000. Have we made it to 2004? Is it 2003? Where are we at with this? Because they published 2003. So like 2003, yeah, she still looks almost exactly like that today. I mean, just fantastic. Who is this Bijou Deluxe again? Yeah, I think because it's a Spa Deluxe. I think that's that Bijou Deluxe. So we have a RuPaul's Drag Race. And then we have, so the next one, but the next cover girl, Raja. So Raja won, was it season 2 or season 3 that Raja won? Season 3. Season 2 is the Tyro we don't talk about anymore. I forgot about that. But Raja won season 3. And so this was well before Drag Race. And here was Raja. She was the cover girl. And I think I have an article in this one. Yep, Northern Exposure. So like, and I had no idea at the time. I didn't know who she was, but I just thought like her pictorial was beautiful. And I think she mentioned something about being like a makeup artist for Top Model or something. And then I wrote another one. This one is called One for the Big Girls. So again, we wrote another one about being a mouthy big girl and how we need more understanding and acceptance of different body shapes and sizes. The world is just starting to warm up to the idea that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. Still a problem. How did I know? Little naive me, we'd still be fighting those battles 20 some years on. So Raja is in this one. And then I have an extra copy of Raja. And then the next cover, Willem. So another future, again, why can't I figure out where to place things? So Willem is on here. A Starlet is Born. And so just like beautiful. Oh, I always wanted to go here. And this was such an inspiration, this like studio lights. This is a place I think it was a place in Denver. I don't think they're around anymore. Denver, Colorado. It was on North Broadway. And they had all kinds of like drag and cross-dressing like stuff. Like here it says clothing from sexy dresses to custom designs, corsets, gaffs, maid uniforms, petticoats, sissy pants, lingerie, hosiery, undergarments, gloves, boas, wigs, hairpieces, rhinestones, and jewelry, adult magazines, toys, videos, makeovers, cosmetics, photography studio, excursions, and limousine service. And studio lights. And God, why can't I do this? There we go. And it was run by Bianca and Morgana. And what they did, and this is the first time I had heard about this, and I was like, I would love to do something like this. And like my photographer friend, Miranda, that started doing all of my photography and stuff, I was like, how cool would it be if you had a place where you sold like all the stuff? You sold makeup and and jewelry and clothing, like drag stuff and cross-dresser stuff and all that kind of stuff. But they also offered like makeover services. And so I don't know why that's in air quotes. I over air quote. I'm so sorry. It is just makeover services. But they would offer makeover services. And so for people who didn't really have a place to go out, or for like some of the local support groups and stuff, people, you could come in, they would get you ready, and like you could bring your own clothes or you could buy clothes there. And there was like a fee for the service or whatever. And like if you had an event there, you could have like a little tea party or something, and then people would get washed up and they would go home or whatever. And you could do photos. So they would have photographers. You could do a little photo shoot. So if you wanted like professional, beautiful photographs, they offered that. And I always thought that was so cool. And I thought it would be so fun because their website was really, really good. And that's how I knew they had closed, is because their website had closed quite a while back now. But I just thought it looked so fun. I did order from them. So I have a really early picture of me in drag. Let me see if I can find it on my phone, and I'll hold it up. Oh, let me see here. Where are the, because I have some old ones. Let me tell you, this is crazy. So wild. We're gonna Inception this bitch because I'm about to hold up my phone to show a picture. Where is it? I have so many like folders of pictures in my phone, but they're not well organized or well curated. So like trying to find things, I'm like, which one did I put this in? Is it in vintage? Yes, it's in vintage. Okay. Get ready. You are not ready. So this is also a good time to say that if I ever, like, if I'm doing a look or whatever, and I say that I'm busted and you're like, oh no, you're so pretty or whatever, just know that I know that I'm not that bad, because I know it's been worse. And I know it's been worse because welcome to this picture. Oh God, is it not going to show? Is it just there? Maybe it like sort of, look at that. Look at that picture. Oh my God. Look at that picture. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Magic Cat, thank you. Yeah, this is a very early. Now let's break down this photo, shall we? And maybe I'll have to share this on the post tab as well. Let's break this down from head to toe. This wig is a Cleopatra wig. I had to cut the bangs myself, and you can kind of see that they're like super uneven. But I don't know what it was with these. You could buy these, like, were they called Page Boy wigs, like a Betty Page, like a Page Boy wig, and like, but the bangs would come down almost to my nose. Like, so I would buy these wigs. You were showing, I was trying to zoom in, and then you were showing so much better. Maybe if I put it in front of my big old face. Okay, there we go. So like the bangs are uneven, and I've got two barrettes in the side to like hold it to the side. I'm wearing my glasses. So do I have any eye makeup on? Who can tell? All you see are big old glasses. It's hard to tell, but I've got a Heart of the Ocean necklace from Titanic, a knockoff that I got from Fredericks of Hollywood. This dress, 100% I bought on the clearance rack at Sears. 100%. They used to have clearance like Mother of the Bride and like formal dresses. And that's where I got this dress. Now, this is not burnt out. This is not the image like looking burnt out because of the lighting. That's because I had a white corset underneath this like semi-sheer navy blue material dress. So the white corset, you can see the whole thing, but especially that one spot right there where the light hit it. The little short, not even opera length gloves, like little above the wrist gloves, little black satin gloves. And the reason why I wanted to have this photo is that we're working from head to toe. White pantyhose, by the way, also not a trick of the light. I am literally, legitimately wearing white pantyhose. Now I'm covering it. White pantyhose. And then those shoes are little, like, small-heeled pumps, and they're blue sequins. So imagine Dorothy's slipper from The Wizard of Oz, but blue sequins. I bought those from Studio Lights. I bought those on the Studio Lights website, and I thought I was so fancy. And I got these blue, and then that purse, that little like purse with the marabou. Girl. That's why when people talk about like the It Gets Better campaign, I'm like, well, sometimes it definitely gets better than this. Like, that's where we started, and look where we're at. So Willem resembles Jalopity a bit. Yes, I can see that. What's the place called? We talked about Studio Lights. We all have to start somewhere. Miss Innocent, yes. I like the bangs were okay. This one I didn't do as bad of a job. You can definitely see a little bit of choppiness, but I had mastered it a little bit at that point, because you used to be able to get those wigs at Spencer's for $10. And so like I was balling on a budget, and like any money had to go either like I would save up money for when I would go to Winnipeg and buy MAC Cosmetics. Otherwise, it was all drugstore makeup. It was all clearance dresses, my big old hooves. I had to try to find shoes that were big enough. So I ended up having to spend money on shoes, and I had to spend money on body, like corsets and body shapers, because you couldn't find like super cheap versions of those. So that's why we had to do that. What's the scent of the day? White, yes. It's kind of fun to say. Yeah, what? I say that a lot with what as well. I liked wearing white hose too back in the day. I looked terrible. What made me think? What was going through my little cross-dressing head that I was like, you know what? You know what's going to make this outfit? What if you just wore white pantyhose? What if you wore white pantyhose? White pantyhose. White pantyhose. There's times where I look at old pictures of me and I'm like, why did nobody send help? And that Heart of the Ocean necklace. I had 2 versions of the Heart of the Ocean necklace. God damn it. Oh yeah, it definitely gets better than this is often what I say. Yeah, it has to get better than this. I was obviously inspired by someone to wear white hose and with black shoes. Yeah, this is such a dark blue dress, because this is like that material that's like, it's definitely blue, but it's one of those where it's like a black material and it's got the blue like metallic threads in it. So it's not like blue. That's why it's kind of sheer, because it's over like a little just like shift dress. So it had like a lining, but even that lining up against a white corset couldn't like, oh my God, I can't. I always paint my toenails white too as well. Yeah. White or taupe shoes. Why did nobody send help is far too really. Oh, it's so crazy. I have the Heart of the Ocean too. We got it at Titanic exhibit. So I got one from Fredericks of Hollywood, and that one was not, it was the stone was better. It was a beautiful stone, but it didn't look enough like the Heart of the Ocean for me and for my taste. Because it had like a silver, it was like a really beautiful like Swarovski crystal stone, but then had this weird like silver setting, and it was just on a silver chain. So then I went on eBay and I got a big rhinestone one, and I think I'm wearing the rhinestone one in this picture. Again, can you see any of it? Oh God, I may, like I said, I may have to try to post this on but I think I can see that there's rhinestones, and then there were rhinestones on the chain going up. So the stone in the center wasn't as good, but it looked more like the heart of the ocean. Hey, I see Grady Hendrix books on your shelf. Have you read my best? I have read my best friend's exorcism. I like it. I'm a big fan. Yeah, I was trying to decide my next book, and so I brought a bunch in here because I keep this bookshelf with like all of my Fear Street stuff, and I do have some other books on the other side, and like my Christopher Pike is over here. But then we had a live stream not too long ago where I was trying to figure out my next book, and so I brought some in here. So I have these are the Grady Hendrix that I haven't read, that are in my collection. I really liked my best friend's exorcism. I also read We Sold Our Souls. I didn't like that as well. I liked it. It was still good, but it wasn't as good as my best friend's exorcism. And I think that that's all that I've read so far. And then I've got How to Sell a Haunted House, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I feel like I have something about Final Girls. Is there a Grady Hendrix about Final Girls? Maybe I brought that one back out into the living room. So I have one about Final Girls. Oh, and I have Horror Store that I haven't read yet. So I have 4 Grady Hendrix that I haven't read yet. But the movie was such a disappointment. Just stick to rereading. Yeah, the movie was okay. I thought it was kind of fun, and I liked the way they captured the kind of 80s vibe of it. But yeah, the movie is never as good as the book. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls is also really interesting. I picked it up myself. Yeah, that's on my list. I just haven't gotten to it. So I definitely am excited for that as well. Yeah. Let me show you. Let me see if I've got another. Oh. This is going to be all blown out too, because this is, I went to my honors formal. So I was in the honors program at UND. And I went to the honors formal and I drugged my friend Ted. I made my friend Ted take me. Oh God, you guys are not ready for this. You guys are not ready for this. You are not. I'm always peering at people's shelves when they're visible in videos. I'm too nosy at a book. Book people, I get it. I'm also, if people are in front of a bookshelf, I'm like looking to see if there's anything I recognize. I don't think you're ready for this jelly or for whatever this is. I don't. Oh, God. So again, my face is just a white blob because I'm wearing. So it's not just a white wig. It's another one of those like page boy wigs. The problem was the bangs were always too long. And then also there was too much hair on the sides. And so it just fell down in front of your face. In the blue one, I did the barrettes to like kind of pin it back. What I did for this one is I pulled it up into, I don't know if you can tell, but I pulled it up into 2 little pigtails. So it's a page boy wig that's got 2 little pigtails on the side. And if it looks white, that's because it is, but it's not just white. It's glow in the dark. It's a glow in the dark page boy wig with 2 pigtails. And bangs, I trimmed myself. Can I dim the screen? I don't. Maybe. Let me try that. Let's see. I don't. Not good with technology. Let's see. Let's bring it way down. Maybe this will be. There we go. Look at her. It looks like I'm still blown out. That's just my pasty white skin. That's literally like, look at that. My skin is almost the same color as that hair. You can just see red lips floating in the picture. And then some sort of like bronzy metallic eyeshadow around my eyes. No lashes, no fake lashes, certainly. Had not discovered fake lashes. A little rhinestone necklace. And then, so let me tell you about this. So this is the honors formal. Because my first picture ever out in drag was at the first year that they did an honors formal. There were these little like sorority girls that were kind of snooty that were in the honors program, and they wanted to be sorority girls, but I think they didn't get picked. But they were that kind that they wanted to do formals and mixers, and so we had to have an honors formal. And so the first year, it was the first time I went out in drag. I have a picture of that too. We'll maybe get to that, or maybe I'll save that for my memoir. We'll see. But so this was the second year, because the first year I went and I was like, I'm gonna go in drag and I'm just gonna like be wild and audacious or whatever. And I had a good time, but also I was like, Then when the next year was coming around, I was like, it'll stick it to him even more if I show up with a date. So I made my friend Ted take me, and I bought myself a corsage. And I think I bought him a boutonniere too, but I bought myself a corsage so that I could have a corsage for the formal. And yeah, so here is, so again, white hair, white face. You can kind of see the crazy look at that. And then, so this dress, this is like a long black dress, and I wore this the year before as well in a slightly different way. So it was basically like sleeveless, like it just cut off at the sleeves and had a little turtleneck. A turtleneck on a dress, Jesus. And it was like this black slinky material that had like iridescent glitter all over it. I don't know if you know what I mean by like slinky material. I feel like they made a lot of like women's casual dressy stuff out of this like slinky, like it had a lot of movement or whatever. And so it's this slinky dress. I got it on clearance for $9 at Sears because it had a hole in it. And so, which wasn't too bad, but like somebody had found the hole or whatever, and it had been there for a long time. And so that hole, what I did was I took a piece, you know how you have stick-on Velcro? I took the soft part and I stuck it on the inside against the hole so that the soft part would rub on my leg or whatever, and then the hole would just be covered up by this black thing. Then I have a sheer shawl. I'm wearing a sheer shawl around my shoulders because, again, sleeveless, and I didn't want just like big old man arms. Another horrific satin purse. I don't know what it was. I don't know where I was getting these little awful satin purses. The dress clearly too short because I'm a monster. I'm super tall. And then look upon and be afraid. Look at those. Those were like 7-inch stripper platform shoes. You can see my toes hang off the end of them because they weren't big enough. In black pantyhose, but these are like clear acrylic. So they had a little platform on the front. They had the big heel in the back. They were like 6 or 7-inch heels. And then little clear acrylics, like clear vinyl straps. A little toe strap that was clearly too small. Nope, that's a little platform underneath. That's a little clear acrylic platform. I wore those stripper shoes so many places. That's what I wore to a formal. Oh my God. So, yep, I did buy. So there's Ted. I don't mind showing him because it turns out that my friend Ted, I was friends with him. He's kind of the man with no soul. He was sort of an awful person. So I did want to check, but I just thought he was so cute and he was willing to go with me. And so then I had this little, like, I got a corsage and I got him a boutonniere so that we'd have flowers or whatever. And then should we take a look at the first time? Let's see what else is even in this. What is even in this album? I've got so much shame. Oh God, there's another picture here. Oh God. Okay. Are you ready? You're going to see how skinny I was. This is back when I was in undergrad. And I was super skinny in all of these. This dress, I loved this dress. I loved it so much. It was the first time I ever bought a dress from Fredericks of Hollywood because they did have some plus sizes. The plus sizes weren't very good because even like as skinny as I was still at the top of their range for plus sizes. It was the first time I had ever gotten a wrap dress. It's so beautiful. I love it. I kept that dress for years. I kept it and would wear it way past the time where I should have been wearing it. Like sometimes I think people are too critical. We live in a very fat phobic society. And so I've heard other drag queens kind of snarkily say like, just because you can put it on doesn't mean it fits. But I wore this dress past the point of that, of like, just because you can put it on doesn't mean it fits. But I loved it. And I had no padding. I had no body. Are you ready for this, Jelly? Oh my God. Can we just, oh my God. First of all, another horrific satin purse. What was I doing in the early 2000s, like the late 90s, early 2000s? What was I doing? This would have been late 90s because I think my first show ever, I'm coming up on my 25th anniversary. My first actual show was December 1st, 2001. So this would have either been like, maybe could have been 2000 or 2001, or it was late 90s. But look at that horrific, I don't know if you can tell, there's little satin rosettes all over it. Little satin rosettes. These little satin purses. Jesus. What was I doing? Now, this was before I had a cell phone, so I didn't need to keep a cell phone in there. So I suppose it was just to keep money and my ID. Look at that. No, it's so terrible. It's so, but that dress I loved. I loved the length of those sleeves. I had a little rhinestone bracelet on. I had a little necklace. I still hadn't given in to just like being blind as a bat when I was out in drag. And so I insisted on wearing my glasses. So again, was there makeup on my face, on my eyes? You have no idea. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Pepperidge Farm doesn't remember because I insisted on wearing my glasses. And even for photos. Why couldn't I take my glasses off for photos? Oh my God, it was insane. Look at that. And then that like blonde wig that again had too much hair that just fell down and I didn't know how to style wigs. So I just put a headband. I've got a headband. And then like a vintage like 1950s rhinestone necklace. And then this gapped because I don't have real boobs. I had to like put a brooch on here because it gapped too much because I couldn't keep it closed, which could have been sexy if I had real boobs and was just like rocking it or whatever. But I had to put a brooch there, and I've got another little bracelet on the other arm. I'm holding my hand so that it's not obvious for the most, well, down here it is, that I have no nails. Look at those monster hands with no nails. No nails. No nails. No nails. Look at that monster hand with no nails. Look at that. What was I doing? And then the pièce de résistance, that beautiful little cocktail dress, that sweet little blonde. That was the first time I got like a little like long blonde flowy wig. I might have gotten that from Frederick's as well, but I probably got it from some cheap drag queen site. And I paired that. Look at those goddamn boots. Look at those boots. Look at the state of those boots. Like I'm a big calfed gal. And so like they didn't lace up properly. They didn't fit right. They were I did eventually find some like knee-high boots that were stretched that I could put on because then it just stretched around my calf. I didn't have to try to lace them. And like the tongue is all crooked. What are you doing? What are you doing? What is she going through? Again, I think I'm wearing, I think I'm wearing white pantyhose. I was going to say I might be wearing like skin tone pantyhose, but I think I might actually be wearing white pantyhose on the top. I think I might have a layer of, no, you know what? I think I have a layer of, because at that time I thought it was enough to only wear like 2 pairs of pantyhose. Because this was before I found like dance tights that are thick and like have coverage. So I was like layering pantyhose. I would go to Walmart and buy pantyhose. And somebody online lied to me and told me that a trick was to put a pair of white pantyhose on and then put a pair of skin tone pantyhose on, like light or whatever, because it would help cover up if you didn't want to shave or whatever. You didn't have you had really hairy legs or whatever. So I tried that out. And so this is like, but because it's like thin pantyhose, the white just like shows through. So this is where I was trying to layer pantyhose. Look at that. Oh my God. But I did have cute legs though. I used to have really cute legs. That's, if there's one thing I miss about my faded youth, it's that I used to have this photo doesn't show it off because again, this dress is kind of boxy when I don't have padding. Maybe I'll try to find it. Maybe I'll show that in a live sometime because I did this bar pageant one time, the Miss Moore head pageant. And there's a picture of me in my swimsuit and my legs are killer. Like they're so good. But so that's the horrific. Should I show you the first time in drag? Do people want to see the first time in drag? Do you want to see the first time in drag? Those legs haven't had legs like that in forever. Grace Garcia from Criminal Minds. Oh, I don't know her. But she's rad. I love that. Boots have come a long way for sure. One pair was absolutely miserable. I cannot imagine two. Yeah, it was I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if are you ready for the like first time in drag picture? Oh God. Oh God, what is she going through? What is she going through? Oh. Do you want to see it? Nobody's telling me they want to see it. Maybe we're ready to move on. Maybe we've visited vintage Janessa long enough. Maybe it's all you can take. Maybe you're all seeking therapy now. The suspense, the suspense. Yes, please, if you want. I'll maybe try to. Well, we'll see how it looks. So what you're going to see in this video, or what you're going to see not in a video. This is well before cell phones. So what we have, you're going to see the same blue pageboy wig where I chopped the bangs. Here you're going to tell even more that I didn't do a very good job. You're going to see that wig again. Trust me, I have much more pressing reasons to pursue therapy again. More vintage Janessa, yes. So we'll show it. So we have the same blue wig that I was wearing with the little flirty dress that you could see the corset through. I'm also wearing the black dress that I was wearing in the other formal with my friend Ted. I'm wearing the black opera gloves. We had limited fashion choices. Again, we had to put the money at the things like shoes and foundation garments. So a lot of little like cheap clearance accessories. The black opera gloves show up again. And then the other Heart of the Ocean shows up in this one. So this is the one that I got from Fredericks of Hollywood that was the really nice stone, but was in silver and also had like a weird, it was almost like the chain came down and then it had a piece that came down like a chain piece. And then the heart, so it was like a Y. Oh God. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready? God, what is she going through? Okay. And I should also say, sorry, I know the suspense. I'm such a like teaser. I'm such a clickbaiter. But I have to say that also in this pic, I am insanely drunk. I'm so drunk in this picture. And this formal happened like, I think it was like 2 weeks before my 21st birthday. But everybody thought that my 21st birthday had already happened, or they thought that it was like around that time. They knew that it was around that time, but they thought it had already happened. So many people from that honors program that at that formal bought me drinks to celebrate my 21st birthday, and I was not 21. And I'm so drunk in this picture. Oh, okay. Are we ready? Here she is. Here she is. She's having a moment. Look at how I'm so drunk. I can't even keep my eyes open. Again, I'm so pale and I didn't know certainly I didn't know anything about contour and I didn't really like blush. Like blush I felt was really, really boring. So again, we have that, like the flash blows out my entire face and it's just red lips just floating in a bowl of milk is what we have. The eyes are closed. You can see my entire eyelid, but can you see any eyeshadow on those eyes? No, you certainly cannot. I know I used some. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened. That's because I used to use drugstore eyeshadow. So the blue wig, this is the blue wig that was in that other picture. But because I'm drunk and when I sat down, it like tipped back on my head. So you can kind of see like let me see if I can zoom in. You can see over on this side, you can see my hair peeking through. And here you can see the like ratchet job that I did on the bangs. And it's like way up my forehead because oh my God. And then there's that Heart of the Ocean that's got the good stone, but it doesn't look like the style. I've got some kind of rhinestone earring. That same black dress, but then look how I've put this like casual coat, this like casual slinky jacket on top. Now this slinky jacket is from the Kathy Lee collection for Walmart. And not only did I have the jacket in this color, this blue color, I had this jacket, I had a baby doll dress, and I had a floor length elastic waist skirt that had slits up both sides so that if I wanted to, I could layer it. I could have just the baby doll with the jacket on, or I could have a skirt and have it be full length with 2 layers. Oh, those same black gloves. You can't see it, but I've got little black Fredericks of Hollywood pumps. It looks like I'm judging or sleeping in a good way. Yeah, I definitely am almost sleeping in that picture because they're like smile. I was like, kind of like Moe's hair. Yeah, it's this is those revelers have been judged and found wanting. Yes. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And there's that same black. I love that black sparkly dress. But let me tell you, so I had this one, and this was like a go-to. When I did my first show, December 1st, 2001, I ordered a slinky. So this same slinky, there were so many things in the slinky fabric. I went online, and I had saved up my pennies, and I ordered a dress from the Delta Burke collection that was purple. It had those same like 3/4 length sleeves like that wrap dress had. And it came down. So it had kind of like a straight neckline and then went into like the little sweetheart. It was kind of a mixture of like a box neckline and like a sweetheart. And then it was gathered and had a little rhinestone thing. And then under the bust. And then so all the top and the sleeves had like sparkles, kind of like that black dress had. And then the bottom was just the slinky material with no sparkles. And I was so proud of that dress. And it kills me that I don't think I have any pictures of me in that dress. I need to go through my photo album sometime because I was terrible at remembering to take pictures. But that Delta Burke collection dress, that one and that Fredericks of Hollywood wrap dress, I mean, those are dresses that I wish I had to this day. I wish I could buy new versions of them. And I sew that slinky material. I could sew that material so I could make those dresses again. But those two dresses I loved so much. Oh my God. That's the first picture. That's the first time, not the first time I performed in drag. This is the first time that I went out in drag ever, ever, ever. So this would have been like 98 or 99, probably 98. What is she going through? What is she going through? Probably 99, actually. What is she going through? Look at that. Just lips floating in a bowl of milk. Just crazy. Crazy. So crazy. I think I figured out how to better say that genuine self thing, but I could put it in comments after the vid post. That would either way is fine. We're just chatting here. Yeah, if you wanna put it in the chat or in the comments. I've got it set up so that the chat should replay. Yeah, it's so wild. Do I have any other good? No, for some reason this one is called Vintage, and there's like vintage pictures of me in drag, those few that I showed you, and then a couple pictures from when I was like a kid, and then randomly this group of pictures from when Angie and I went to this like company picnic thing at this like pumpkin patch place, and then a picture of me at the pool house from like a year and a half ago standing next to an old car. I don't know what's going. My favorite though, this I have on my Tinder profile because it makes me laugh because it's a picture because it's at this pumpkin patch and they have like a corn maze, and so there's this sign that says "Do not pick corn." So then I posed like I was picking a piece of corn. That just made me giggle. I just think that's funny. I like it. And then Angie, they had this Barnyard Buddies. They had this thing you could stand behind. And I stood behind all three of them. And then Angie like photoshopped the picture together so that I'm looking through all of them. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Are there any other? Yeah, there we are. Angie and I at the pumpkin patch. My Argyle sweater. That's Angie, who's my like intrepid cinematographer, who I adore. She's my bestie. I think that's all I have. I do have my senior picture in here. Should we look at I have a couple of my senior pictures in here. So I have This one, so I used to wear these like house pants. They're basically pajama pants, but they had a tag on them that said house pants. And I had like 3 or 4 pairs of them. And my senior year, I wore those house pants, those pajama pants a lot. And this one, I actually had a matching plaid shirt, or mostly matching. It was the 90s. There was a lot of flannel happening. And so I decided to get some of my senior pictures taken in this outfit because some of the like snooty popular kids that were more fashionable, they were always like, why are you here in your pajamas? Why are you here in your pajamas? And so I went to a really small school. There were 21 people in my graduating class. And so any of those snooty, like popular kids, I made sure we all had to send each other like our graduation party invites. Even though we couldn't go to each other's parties because we all had our own parties. And then we had like a big party all together later that night, but we all still had to send like our announcements and all that kind of stuff to everybody because it was small town. It was all that kind of shit. So I made sure that I got copies of this for those snooty popular kids specifically. If you had never made fun of my pajama pants, then you got this handsome gentleman. Look at that. Look at that tie. I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised. I'm surprised I'm not wearing a vest. I was like a lesbian stand-up comedian. I loved a vest. I loved a silk shirt and a vest so much for my entire high school career. Loved it. Let me see if I can brighten up the screen a little bit to show you that. Nope. Oh, what's that? That's just the setting. There we go. Look at that. Look at that tie. Look at that. I was so skinny. That's the thing. That's what happens. Like the older you get, you always, no matter every few years, you look back on those pictures before and you're like, I was so skinny. I didn't know it. I was so pretty. I didn't know it. And then you feel bad about yourself at that moment. And then 5 years later, you'll look back at those photos and be like, I was so skinny. I was so pretty. Oh, and I had that 90s. Look at that little. This is what happens. Like this lesbian math teacher, the reason why it got cut so short is because look at how there's that weird flip to my hair. Like how it comes down and it does the like, it's like whoosh, whoosh. It does that. That's what my hair was starting to do. So I was like, I have to get this shorter somehow. And so I did. And this is before they did like full undercut. So you can see over on the other side. I parted it on the side, but I still had the little piece that like came down. Oh, wild. Look at that. So young, so innocent. I had no idea. Look at how I'm posing in front of, like, they have the most random collection of like law books and encyclopedias and shit like that. What was I posing in front of that as a high schooler for? Like, what did I think I was going for my bar exam photo? Like, what is this? What is this? Oh my God. She's so young. She's so skinny. I used to love vests. I loved a vest. Let me see what you said. So now that you wrote it out, I think that living your most genuine self or respect your journey, it just felt reductive. It's like trans woman or even just woman, right? It's only one facet of a nuanced person, just like anybody. And yes, just cliched enough that I felt like a lot of people weren't actually sincere. I can see what you're saying there. Absolutely. Sorry, then I noticed your bar exam is on my to-do list. I have enough to cover the town. I love that. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think that for me, it was more about like, I didn't just, because I used to be kind of shy and a little bit timid. And then as I developed like the Janessa persona, I just was like, I'm not going to be scared anymore. Like, I'm not going to be, because when I was in high school, you know, that person in that law degree photo for my senior pictures, like that person, I was always the weird kid. I was always trying weird things with outfits and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I was pegged as the gay kid super early, but I was also like trying to keep some of it inside. Like I was trying to kind of walk a line. And so there were things that I just didn't say. I tried to like I was playful and fun. And I had this like internal clock that was like, you're going to leave this town after you graduate and you're never going to have to talk to these fucking people again. And so that helped get me through as well. But there was a lot that I kept bottled in. And it was a lot of like just keeping it in, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. So as I was like building this Janessa persona, I was like, I'm not going to be scared anymore. I'm going to say inappropriate things. I'm going to say raunchy things. I'm going to be sexual, and I'm going to be like all the things that I was told that I wasn't supposed to be. Like, if you're going to be this different thing, then at least be quiet about it. That was the message that I always felt that I got. And so like finding that, I was like, I want to bring it back. And there's this great quote that I always kind of murder a little bit. And I've posted it many times. I think I've used it in videos before. And I can't remember who it's by. This is always my problem. I never remember anything. But they said, like, queer people don't grow up. We don't grow up as ourselves. There's so much editing. And so part of your adult life is trying to unpack what's actually you, and what are the things that you created to be armor against the world, and what are the things that are you that you hid away and tried to deny because they were part of you. And I feel that so much. I feel that as the little, not just like a queer kid, but like the sissy queer kid. And I loved feminine things. And so there was a lot that I really had to, and even like once I started developing my drag persona, there was still a little bit of that kind of shame and that like trying to like I was like, okay, well, if you want to do feminine stuff and you want to be silly or girly or whatever, do that when you're Janessa. Do that when don't do that all the time. So like you should be a little bit more, and I always dressed kind of flashy and kind of whatever, but I was like, it can't be too feminine. So I loved, like in the 90s, we had the International Male Catalog, which existed to convince little queer kids like me that it was okay to be a little bit feminine and a little bit flashy and all that kind of stuff. And so I dressed kind of flashy, but like really like feminine stuff. That's why I had stepped away from like Barbie collecting or any of that kind of stuff. I had to get rid of all that stuff. I had to like declutter it, get it out, because that wasn't okay. That part wasn't, like, I could dress up in big sequin dresses and dance around and be raunchy or whatever. But then when I took that off, we had to still kind of like, there was a lot of shame and stuff that I have been since trying to unpack. So like, all these so now I know we're getting serious. We're being a little bit more serious at the gig or whatever. But like a lot of the toy videos and the stuff that I do, like a lot of my toy collecting is therapeutic. It's really like engaging with my trauma of like allowing myself femininity and different things that I didn't feel like I was allowed. And not like it was forbidden. Because that's the thing, is it's not like my mom and people in my family weren't like, they sometimes didn't know what to do with me, but nobody was like, you can't do that because you're a boy. Like that was never, they were always just like, well, that's a little weird, don't you think? Do you think that's maybe a little odd or whatever? So there was maybe sometimes a little bit of judgment, but they kind of let me be they kind of let me be the weird kid, which I appreciated. So a lot of my toy collecting now is like going through that and like taking the trauma away from it and being like, you can have a Barbie doll. You can have all those Barbie dolls that you wanted, the ones that you didn't get to have. I did have a couple Barbies and some Barbie clothes and all that kind of stuff, but like I can buy like the Barbies that I wanted and like the real fancy, because sometimes, again, like if you watched my video where I talked about my first Barbie wasn't a Barbie, it's like when I finally had the opportunity to buy one, I felt so much of that shame that I wouldn't let myself buy the blonde Barbie. I had to buy her like friend. Like I couldn't even buy a Barbie. I was like, well, I'll get Miko, because Miko is like Barbie adjacent, but it was like different enough that I was like, maybe that'll make it somewhat more okay. I agree with that part, definitely. And it's the other things besides being queer, being creative, advocating for the self and others. Excuse me. Yep. Pretty girl. Yeah, like I get that about like wanting to be seen as like fully faceted and like fully. Did you have the pirate? I didn't have the pirate shirt. I had the poet shirt. And I don't remember exactly what was the difference, but I know that I had the poet shirt, which was very similar. But I did have the poet shirt. I had this leopard. There's some things from International Mail. Again, I know that it's like part of toxic diet culture is keeping your like thin wardrobe or whatever. But there's some things from International Mail that I wish I had kept, because, and I wish that I could still fit into, because somewhere I think I still have the shorts. That's the one thing left from International Mail. And those never fit me. I ordered them and they never quite fit me. It's so toxic. But there were these little like Daisy Duke denim shorts, because again, my legs were great. I wrote a whole, maybe I should try to get that from the Wayback Machine or whatever, but like I wrote a blog article one time about how my legs used to be so beautiful, and like as I get older and I've had some like different hospital things that have come up where my legs don't look as good. Like my legs are not beautiful anymore the way that they were. And when I was a teenager, I just remember the first time I ever felt like I had a pair of clothing that like felt sensual to me. Like where it was like it wasn't, I don't know how even to explain it, but I had these like swim trunks that were white. First of all, why are you giving a child white swimming trunks? The 80s and 90s were wild. But this, I remember I had these and they were white swimming trunks, and they were the little short, like 80s, you know how like short shorts, and they were the ones that came up on the side. Do you know what I'm talking about? How like they would like, it was two panels, and then on your side, on your hip, they would come up and like overlap. I had a pair of swim trunks that were like that, but they weren't sewn together. Like where they came together, they weren't sewn together. They were both sewn independently to the waistband. And so when you were in the water, they both just like, and I was too young to understand that I was feeling that as being like fucking sexy, but like that's how I felt. And I had those swim trunks. Close to that is from International Mail. I ordered these like denim Daisy Duke shorts. So tacky. It's so tacky. But they were little on the front. They just looked like denim Daisy Dukes. They might have had little, I think there were little patches that said USA. And on the back, sewn up against the denim, they had one side was the red and white stripes and one was blue with the stars. And then the pockets were sewn on top of that. And they said USA on the front. I thought they were so cute, and I ordered them and they just never fit right. And I think I still have those. They went through several moves with me because I would have ordered those when I lived in the dorms. And so I have had those and they've never fit, and I've kept them as like maybe someday, which again is so toxic, but oh, I just loved those shorts. In another world, I would have been the biggest fuckboy. Like I just would have been the biggest fuckboy. Oh, did you have a pirate shirt from International Mail? Oh yeah, I saw that one. I didn't. I had the Poets one. I had some of the pirate shirts. Those shorts, never had those. I had silver vinyl pants. Oh, one of my favorite outfits. This is when I first came out and started going to dances in town. Is I had my silver vinyl pants, and then I would wear a black rib tank top. And then over top of that, I had a crop sweater that I found in JCPenney that was silver, like a silvery kind of, like it had little silver metallic bits, but it was just like a grayish silver thread. And then had black leopard spots and a big black collar. Now this was the 90s. And so this collar was really big and it was really open. And then I wore a tank top underneath because it was cropped. And I was embarrassed about my little belly. And so I would wear that. And I had black, like tuxedo shoes, like black vinyl shoes. And that was one of my favorite outfits that I would wear I used to be so cute. Oh my God. I wore that all the time. And that's how, like when I first started coming out. So, so this little like crop sweater with the big, and so again, like a big, just like a big black collar, but it was so open. So there was so much of my neck. This was the 90s. The 90s, we had lots of open necks because you always had little necklaces or little chokers or little things, boys and girls, and they thems. We didn't talk as much about they thems. Like they were in the culture, but we didn't have as much language around it. But like people just had open necklines or whatever. Well, my sort of coming out happened because I had a sexual experience and probably shouldn't have. Like it was somebody who was a terrible choice or whatever. But I had this experience and I ended up with a bunch of hickeys all over my neck. And I was an idiot. And so I didn't look into mirrors a lot. Like my freshman year of college was a lot about growth and exploration. There was also a lot of depression. So I didn't look in the mirror a lot. And so I didn't notice that I was like covered in hickeys. And so again, I'm wearing something with kind of an open neck. And I went to meet my friends at the cafeteria after a class or whatever. It was this group that we kind of got together a lot. And they were teasing me. They were like, "Ooh, you've got hickeys. Who's hickey girl? Who's giving you all those hickeys? Who's hickey girl? Who's hickey girl?" I was like, stop. It's not, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's really embarrassing, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I got drunk and I was like, it's stupid, whatever. But they were like, who's hickey girl? Who's hickey girl? Who's hickey girl? So then like a week or so later, she was kind of my like, I mean, she was my best friend at the time. Her name was Savanthi. She was from Sri Lanka. And she was in this program called Integrated Studies with me, where you do a lot of your classes together and you're in these like work groups and stuff. And we had gotten really close. And so we went out to this little diner called Jeannie's, which is no longer around in Grand Forks. It hurts my heart. All the waitresses wore Pepto-Bismol pink scrubs. There was a smoking section. This is when you still smoked in restaurants. And the gall of it was that if you wanted to sit in the non-smoking section was in the back. So you had to walk through the smoking section to get to the non-smoking section. But so Savanthi and I went to Jeannie's and we were having fries and gravy and we were studying or doing something or whatever. And I had decided I was going to tell her. And so now it's important to the story that she's from Sri Lanka because obviously her name is Savanthi, not a super common name in the United States. So sometimes like things that might be really common names in the United States, she wouldn't necessarily recognize right away, right? So because it took her a second, because we were studying and I was so nervous. And finally I just said, Savanthi, do you remember about a week ago when we were all talking about Hickey Girl? And she perked up and she's like, yes. She's like, I remember Hickey Girl. And I said, well, Hickey Girl's name was Bob. And she's like, yes. And it took her a second, like, because she didn't recognize that Bob was a man's name. It took her like I could see the gears start to turn. And then she's like, yes. And then she's like, oh. And so then we had to talk about it. And but yeah, so she didn't immediately recognize that Bob was a man's name. And so it took her a second. And so I laughed. I thought it was so funny. And then I was like, so what do you think? I was not good at coming out. I was not good at like having this was the first time. So I was testing it out. And so I was like, well, what do you think? Because I didn't know because I had been reading a lot. I mean, I'm a book person. I read a lot. And of course, at that time, like in the 90s, all of the coming out stories were like, all of my friends abandoned me. I got kicked out of my house. It was all the like worst case scenario sort of stories. And so then she kind of thought about it for a second and she's like, does this mean that we can go to the mall and look at men together? And I was like, it absolutely means that. It absolutely means that. And so, yes, so that it went really well. And I have to say that like, after reading all of those horror stories, like I was really nervous about it. And I realized that I was lucky because I had overall a very good coming out experience. So it was very good. But she was the first person that I told. And that's how I did. I was like, remember Hickey Girl? Hickey Girl's name was Bob. And I was waiting for like a reaction. And at first it was just like, yeah, like tell me more. And then like seeing it like process like, oh. It was so funny. It was so funny. Oh, Savanthi. She was lovely. We were lovely, lovely friends. And then after integrated studies, so that first year, and we still kind of hung around a lot. And her older brother was there. And at some point I worked at like the International Center for like a summer and got involved in the programming. And then as we got later into our studies, she was studying very different things from what I was studying. And we were just kind of in very different directions and unfortunately kind of drifted apart. But yeah, but that was a lovely, for a first coming out experience. It was very good. It was very, very good. And I mostly had good experiences. If anybody had any kind of weird stuff that they were thinking, most of them didn't say anything to me. There was one person that her name was Hannah, and she was very religious. And she was a very sweet. She's one of those people who's very, very sweet, but has some like bigoted stuff that they're maybe not super aware of. And so she was the only one that I had kind of a rough time with, because she was like, well, we just don't, she's like, I still really like you. You're my friend. I just, I just don't want to know about that part of your life. And and I'm full stage 5. So like there's a theory of LGBT, like identity development that says like there's these certain stages, and like stage 5 is after you've come out and you're finally like proud of it, and suddenly you're like, I want gay everything. I want gay t-shirts and music and all this kind of stuff. So I was full stage 5. I was fucking annoying. I was so like, I was like, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay. Where's the parade? Like I had such a weird like fast transition. And so she was just like, I just don't have to know about that part of your life. And I was like, I'm gay all the time. I was like, I don't know if you think I'm only gay in the bedroom. I'm gay in the grocery store. I'm gay in the classroom. And so we kind of like drifted apart pretty quickly after that. But yeah. I remember being sad when my friend came out because I was worried about, I think there was a lot of that. I did have a lot of people experience who, if they had any kind of negative reaction, it was more like, it wasn't like you're going to hell, like that kind of thing. I had already been pretty good. I mean, I was bullied from the time that I was a tiny, tiny child. So I got pretty good at like finding people who were not assholes. So I think that helped in my coming out process, is that I had already like gotten pretty good at like, and like, you're an asshole. And so not befriending those people. So I had picked a good group already. And so it was, I think that certainly helped. But I had mostly, but there were some reactions of people being like very nervous. So that was definitely part of it. I wonder if my parents are so cruel and suppressive, partly because they were trying to protect me. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that can happen. I think that's, I used to think that there was more validity to that. And now I see it and I'm like, there's all these people who are like, we're doing this because we love you. And I'm like, step out of that for a second and just be like, if you love someone, what does that mean? Because if the only way that you can love someone is to force them to be something that you think they should be instead of what they are telling you that they are, then that's no longer about loving them or being concerned for them. That's about being concerned for you, whether it's your own shame, whether it's your embarrassment, whether it's, wanting to keep up with the Joneses or whatever. Like at some point it's like you're making this about you and it's not about you. It's not at all about you. Like if you love someone, you listen to them. Like you shut this and you open these and you say, tell me who you are and help me understand and help me figure out how to support you because this is new information. So how do I get on board with you? And that's what I think a lot of people don't do, is I think they're like, well, this is what should be happening. And this is what I think. And these are the dreams that I had for my child and all this kind of shit. And it's like, okay, but your child is telling you who they are. What are you doing? What are you doing? He was bullied all through school and I was even more terrified I think I would have been an overbearing parent because I would worry about every single thing. Glad I wasn't a parent. I mean, they're horrible. Don't get me wrong. This was in the rural South in the 70s and I can end up in a ditch to this day. Yeah. It broke my heart for a long time, but I'm homesick no more. Yeah, that's tough. That's absolutely tough. I mean, I think about that because like my mom still lives in the town that I grew up in. And I think there were benefits to having grown up there. I think that, the good with the bad or whatever. And I think there were some good things about it. Could I ever live there again? I don't think so. I'm worried that she still lives there sometimes. I mean, there's no services. There's no, it's a little scary, but yeah, I definitely would never have shunned my child. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Hello, Cheese. How you doing? We're having a deep moment. We're having a deep moment here on the live stream. I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes, and it's Monday again tomorrow. I'm right back at it. I gotta figure it out. It's a little bit crazy. No problem, Cheese. We're happy to have you here. But yeah, we were just kind of getting. I always try to wrap it up by 2 hours or so, right? Like we're trying to keep it at about 2 hours or less. So we don't have to go right away. We're still kind of in the chat or whatever. But if you come back and watch the replay, I showed some absolutely horrendous early pictures of me in drag. So that's worth a rewatch. You can see some, I think I showed 4 different pictures. Can I show you another picture since we're talking about like home and homesick or whatever, all that kind of stuff? I've got a couple more. So here is, so remember that I was not gay in high school. I wasn't gay in high school, but this is me at senior prom. That's me at senior prom. Oh my God, I had those little John Lennon glasses, and you can't really tell, but my bow tie is Mickey Mouse. And I was so sad that like the tradition is to give your bow tie to the girl. And I was like, but it's Mickey Mouse, and I kind of want to keep it. But you have to, that was the thing, is you had to, like, you got her garter and she got your bow tie. And I wanted to be like, could I just keep the bow tie and you keep the garter? She was so sweet. So her name is Susanna. She was our foreign exchange student from Italy that year. And so Susanna was my beautiful, beautiful beard for the prom. But I'm so close to busting out of the closet. Like, we were close. There's the evidence. Check the material. Like, the evidence is there. We just hadn't quite confirmed yet. And so we have the red roses. I love this monochromatic look, the white dinner jacket with the Mickey Mouse bow tie and those John Lennon glasses that matched her dress. Oh my God. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. And then the last little picture. Are you ready for too much cuteness? Are you ready for too much? Like this, I'm serious. This might give you a toothache. This could cause a problem because this is so sweet. This is so cute. This picture, this is when I'm maybe 4 or 5. This may be the Christmas. If you've ever heard me tell my story about how I wanted country western Barbie and got country western Ken, there's a good chance that this is the Christmas that happened at. Because this is a photo at Christmas, and I'm standing holding my favorite teddy bear. And I got this teddy bear. I still have it to this day. It's in my bedroom. This is me in front of our Christmas tree. I'm wearing my favorite sweater. This was a sweater that I absolutely loved. I'm holding my favorite teddy bear. Look at that. Oh, look, I gave you a little tease and then ripped it away, but I think I have to dim the screen a little bit more for this one again. Look at how cute I am with those big, ridiculous sunglasses. So see, I loved an accessory. She loved to accessorize even back then. And I had that sweater that's like blue, but also has like maroon and cream. It was weird colors. I insisted on wearing that sweater one year for school pictures because my mom, it was in 3rd grade. And so like for kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, my mom always bought my brother and I little matching outfits. We always had to have matching outfits. And 3rd grade, I protested and I was not going to wear the matching outfit because I was like, I love this sweater. And I had that sweater for years. It was not pretty. It was not in good shape. And I insisted, and I was wearing that sweater, and I had gotten a buzz cut, and I have a lumpy melon head, and I wore braces. And that school picture for when I was in 3rd grade was so horrible. And then I was like, oh, maybe mom was onto something. But that teddy bear, I love my teddy bear. He's so cute. He never had a name other than, I just called him Teddy. You know how kids are, like it's a teddy bear, so you just call him Teddy. Like when they have a kitten, then they call him Kitty or whatever. Like his name was Teddy. I still have him. I love him so much. And so that's like real nostalgia. That's like, I was talking about in my earlier video when I was talking about how some things I feel like I just collected. Like some of it was working through the childhood trauma or whatever. But like now as I'm thinking about what to keep and what to declutter, it's like there are certain things that have real meaning to me. That teddy bear has real meaning to me. That's something that I want to keep because it is a part of my life and is a part of my childhood, and I love it for that reason. Some of these things I just got because I'm like, yeah, I loved that when I was a kid, but I didn't have that particular figure, or I didn't have that playset or whatever. But it's the idea that I can, right? Like I can because I wasn't allowed to, or I didn't allow myself, or whatever it was. Like and now it's like I can. But that bear is like, when people ask you, like, if you suddenly notice there was a fire, like, what are you grabbing? I would grab that teddy bear. Like, that would come out with me. I had an Oshkosh coat for years. Everybody's saying adorable. I love that. They were popular in 5th grade. I had mine 7th to 9th. Such a geek. I love that. Love it. I love it when people hold on to things that, like, if they were trendy at one point, maybe you bought them because they were trendy, but you loved them. Because like I said, I loved a silk shirt. And like silk shirts had their moment for a year, maybe 2, all through high school. I rocked a silk shirt. I always wanted silk shirts for Christmas. That was the whole thing. I remember I had gone, this is when you could eat fairly cheaply. Because I was in school, and my freshman year, I was on the student council. And we got to go to Bismarck, the capital city of North Dakota. And we went to this like student council convention for a week. And I was there for a week, and my mom sent me with maybe like $50 or something. Because like 50 even seems high, maybe 40 or whatever. But like, I know it wasn't much more, because I went out and I was like, I'm going to go to Dayton's, because we didn't have a Dayton's in Minot. And so I was like, I'm going to go to Dayton's and I'm going to find a silk shirt. And I found this purple silk shirt, and it was beautiful, and it was $25. And so I had to eat for a full week on $15. And I did it. I figured out how to do it. Like if we went to McDonald's, I was like, I will have a large fries, please. And like, I was so hungry the whole week, but I was like, I'm going to have that silk shirt. I'm going to have it because I wore the shit out of that silk shirt. And then I think part of why I loved vests so much is that I have always been a little bit messy, a little bit awkward. And so like silk shirts stained so easily, and it was so hard to get stains out. And so like that purple shirt started looking a little bedraggled, but then I discovered vests, and I was like, I'll just throw a vest on top of it. Loved it. And there was a store in the mall that nobody ever knows what I'm talking about when I mention it. I'm so sad, because not the senior pictures I showed you. Do I have a picture of that one? Because I had a picture of a shirt that I wore for my senior pictures that I got at this store called JW, Jeans West. But they were this fun store, and I think they were probably from a more like urban area, because there was a lot of stuff in there that I think like men of color probably would have enjoyed more in the 90s than us pasty white folks in the Midwest, because they used to have like, they sold suits, they sold jeans, and they sold like shirts and tops and things like that. But they also had like a suit section, and that was where you could go and get like a lime green suit. And like 99 times out of 100 in the 90s, like the late 90s, if somebody was wearing a lime green suit, they were not white. Like I'm sorry to be that on the nose with it. And I think that's why it didn't do well. And that's why it probably disappeared before too much longer. But I got some really cute like tops and vests, and I never saved up enough because I wanted that lime green suit, because I would have been the 1 out of 100 that would absolutely, because it was a coordinated, like you could buy a whole suit. It was the pants, the shirt, the jacket, and the tie, all one color. And they had other colors too. They had like a brown suit and a black suit, and like where it was all like coordinated like that, but they had a lime green. If I could have afforded it, if I could have curbed my spending impulses enough, I would have been in those senior pictures in a green suit. I promise you. I just was never any good at it. I was never. You remember Jeans West? Nobody that I've ever mentioned this to has ever remembered Jeans West. CJ. Can I tell you that that's one of those things that like, I know that it happened, and I can show you pictures of like outfits or pieces that I know that I bought at Jeans West, but literally nobody ever understands anything, mostly because a lot of my friends are female. And so like Jeans West was like a men's store. obviously anyone can buy from anywhere, but like it was very gendered. The 80s were like the absolute insane gendering, but the 90s still there was a lot of like boys stores and girls, because they weren't even like men's and women's, like it was very towards a younger demographic. Nobody ever knows Jeans West when I talk about it, and it hurts my heart because it almost is like a fever dream. If I didn't have pictures of me wearing stuff that I knew that I got at Jeans West, I would be like, did I imagine the whole thing? Did I imagine it? There's a couple things that I have that are like that. We're getting all over the place. We're going all over the place. What did we even start with? We started with girl talk, and we finished that up so long ago. But one thing, so this is for my Masters of the Universe, my toy collection people, because I have looked everywhere to find evidence of this, and I cannot. Was it Wilson's? Wilson's, the leather store? Absolutely. I wanted a Wilson's purse. I'm so glad that I never saved up the money for it, because now I look back and I'm like, those were like Midwestern wife purses. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I wanted one. The patchwork leather. Oh, I wanted one so bad. But yeah, so there's something that I remember from when I was a kid, and I swear I have such a vivid memory of this. And the reason why I remember this so much is because I was obsessed with female action figures. I always wanted the female figure in any line. I was always going towards the female action figures. And in the 80s, there were a lot of like random toy lines or whatever. Now, Masters of the Universe never had a lot of, you had 2 jackets and a tie from Wilson's. I love that. Did you have a bolo tie from Wilson's? That was very 90s to have the like leather jacket with like a button-up shirt and a bolo tie. Oh my God, I love it. But I remember as a kid, because the Masters of the Universe, I had a lot of Masters of the Universe, and I always, every time we went to the KB Toys and to Target, I was always checking the Masters of the Universe to see what figures had come out or whatever. And they never had a lot of female action figures. In the first wave, they had Tila. The second wave, they added Evelyn. And then at some point, they added the Sorceress. And this took a long time for them to add a third figure, female figure, in the Masters of the Universe line. So there were not a lot of female figures. And then, of course, She-Ra came out. And like, but she never really matched. Yeah, the Sorceress was the third. But what I remember, and this would have been, I'm trying to remember exactly when, because I feel like it was about 5 years. It was like 82 is when it started. And I think it like died off for the first time in like 87. And I swear, the last time I remember looking through Masters of the Universe figures, I remember that I turned it over, and like on the back, they would show you like other figures that were in that wave. And then they would show you like potential figures that would be coming out later. And I swear, I cannot find evidence. And I don't know what this is. I don't know how to prove it. I don't know if I have to go to Mattel headquarters and like find their history department. I don't know what I have to do, but I turned it over and I swear there was an Octavia figure, because I was super into water and sea life, and she was the like octopus woman. And there was a picture of an Octavia figure, and I was like, I have to have that. And so then every time we would go back, because I lived in a tiny little town. So like to go to a place that had actual, like we had a Ben Franklin that had some toys or whatever. But if you wanted the like new toys, you had to go an hour to Minot. And we didn't go to Minot all the time. Like we were in our little town or whatever. And I think that was right around when the line was like fully just ending. And I remember seeing that, and then I think I never saw Masters on the Universe on the shelf at all, ever after that. So it was like the last time I ever picked up a Masters of the Universe, and I think it was Octavia, and then I think it might have been like Horde characters, because I think she was next to Grizzlor, and then I feel like there was another Horde character. I remember the like fuzzy Grizzlor kind of look. Yeah, and so I did when I got. I have a video about my Motu Classics line, because I bought most of the She-Ra characters, but then I also bought some of the Horde, like Scorpia and Octavia and things like that. But like, I remember in the original Masters of the Universe line, I remember seeing that on a card back. But like, my friend Angie bought her boyfriend Jason a like Masters of the Universe encyclopedia that has like every character and like all of the action figure pictures and like the card backs and everything. And even looking through that, I could not find any reference to this. And so I feel like, did I like fever dream this? Even if I could find concept art that would confirm that they were thinking about it, I'm sure it was never produced because, like I said, it's quite possible that when I saw that Octavia figure, that was the last time I ever saw one in a store ever. So I'm sure it would have been not produced, but I can't even find evidence that that was ever like a prototype on the back card of another figure. And I just want confirmation. I just want to be validated because I remember that so I remember it so vividly. And I'm like, would I have imagined something? Like in 1987, I would have been 9 years old. So would I have been like making up a figure? Like, I feel like I was very concrete. Like I either saw it or I didn't. So I need to keep, that's my eternal search. I mean, I'm always like, if I think about it, I'll be like, or if I see some Masters of the Universe thing show up, I'll try to, and I've left a comment on Gady's Toys one time. And now that I've like met him a couple times through Allison's channel, I should probably just like ask him like, have you ever looked into this? Because I think this is a thing and I can't find any evidence, but I feel like he finds shit out. I don't know how he does it. Gady's Toys, if you haven't watched his channel, he finds shit out. Like he just knows stuff. He's up on it. The Dinos box or why can't I say that word? Tyrannosaurus and those. Maybe I feel like it was a figure. Like I feel like it was, but that could be wrong too. Like I just remember it was the box of something. So I felt like it was a carded figure, but it could have been a box. I just know that I was looking where they were promoting all the figures and it was down in the corner and it was Octavia. And so I like, because I made the mental note, I was like, we have to check the Masters of the Universe in every store every time we come to Minot until I find Octavia. Like I was a kid like for a 9-year-old, I was laser focused. I was like, when that comes out, I'm going to find that figure and I'm going to get me that figure. And I never saw it again. Marina in it. I cannot find it. Do you know what it's called, Don? Trying to think if I know of any cartoons. There's none that come to mind that would have had a character named Marina. Although, again, if you go look through Gady's Toys and look through his stuff, because a lot of the toy lines were based on cartoons. He's got a lot of things that might, like Tiger Sharks. Oh, a 70s cartoon. Marina. Yeah, I'm not aware of that. The only cartoons that I know that were from the 70s that got rerun in the 80s that I would have seen were Scooby-Doo and the Super Friends. Same type of animation. Oh, as Speed Racer. Interesting. Yeah. So kind of like an anime style. Her name was Marina, like Speed Racer from the 70s. Interesting. Nothing's ringing a bell. I was never much of a Speed Racer. I watched a couple episodes, but it was so different to what I was used to that it never resonated for me. Yeah. All right, we are at about 2 hours, so this is a good time to wrap it up. Thanks for coming on this little journey. I'll show you a couple. Here's Fonda La Femme, another, and then this is the last print issue of Girl Talk that came out. This is Vi Sparkling Beauty. Did I have articles in these as well? I think I did. Northern Exposure. So what did I write? So this is the last, like I said, before they moved online, this was the last like print. What's love got to do with it is what I called it. Why don't I embrace pudgy, serene little Cupid instead of imagining perverse ways to torture him with his own arrows? Oh, I think I was a bitter, broken up with girly in this one. So I wrote about finding self-love and all that kind of stuff, which is basically like saying, I got dumped by a man who was an asshole. Let's see. Northern Exposure. So yeah, I was this Fonda La Femme. I was in this one. I thought I had missed an issue, but I think All the Right Shoes for All the Right Steps. Oh, I talked about where to buy. I did a shopping. This is a shopping column. So I mentioned Torrid.com, pinupgirlclothing.com. I used to get a lot of stuff. Sequin Queen. I used to buy a ton of shit from sequinqueen.com. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. Did I check to see what was, because there was one where I think I did a book column where I called it SPF, and I forget what the SPF stood for. This is the one with Willem on the cover. Maybe it was this one. Was I in this one? Northern Exposure, page 70. We moved up a few pages. Remember your SPF. So let's see what I recommended for books. So the S stands for steamy. Best Transgender Erotica, edited by Hannah Blank and Raven Caldera. For P, Personal Stories, The Woman I Was Not Born to Be, A Transsexual Journey by Alicia Brevard. And F stands for fiction. Chuck Palahniuk, Invisible Monsters. Jeffrey Eugenides, Middlesex, although I think people have like given some criticism of Jeffrey Eugenides that maybe he was not the champion that people thought he was. Chris Bohalian, who wrote The Pilot's Wife, had a book, a fiction book called Trans Sister Radio. Oh, yeah. And then I recommended Cherry Single, A Transvestite Comes of Age by Valerie Gravois. That was really good. Oh. I should try to find that again. I should reread that. That's what I was reading. That's what I was recommending back in 2004. But yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Palahniuk wrote Fight Club, which has become, and that's something that I didn't know about him, is that he's queer, but like, and so a lot of his stuff is very ironic, but because like red pill toxic masculinity dude bros don't get irony and they don't get like subtlety, a lot of them have like taken on his stuff as like, they don't get the irony of it. They don't get that he's critiquing and in some cases like openly mocking this sort of aggressive masculinity. They just take it on as like, oh, Fight Club. Yeah. The Woman I Was Not Born to Be, A Transsexual Journey by Alicia Brevard, also very good. I think she was in, I can't remember, there were a couple of trans actresses that wrote memoirs around this time, but I think Alicia Brevard was the one who was in a Bond movie, maybe? Am I making that up? I don't know. But yeah. So steamy personal stories and fiction. I was recommending books. In the Willem. And this is like early Willem. So this is like rough Willem. Like natural eyebrows Willem. So this is early Willem. Let's see her fashion. Who is this? Oh, Heather Tom from The Young and the Restless is in here. For a second, she looked like Sammy Brady from Days, and like Ali Sweeney a little bit, but I was like, it's not quite right, but it's Heather Tom from Young and the Restless. Love that. Where's Willem? Willem, where are you? Yeah, this is very like classic Willem. Always fighting that 5 o'clock shadow. Oh, Willem. God bless her. I kind of enjoy Willem. I think she's a little bit much sometimes, but I generally like her. At the age of 15, I was known around town for having a better set of legs than most girls. Oh dear. Oh dear. Drag queens and TG performers are TG was another like that sort of the little like acronym TG. Look at that picture, though. Are less represented in the media. I would really like to be the person who changes that one day. That wig, that blonde curly wig, what is happening? Why can't I figure out there? That blonde wig. Oh, Willem. Delightful. And she really did change it because she was doing a lot of early TV work before RuPaul's Drag Race made things more mainstream. Like, and then we have, here's the makeup segment, Heavy Duty Beauty. There's nothing real about natural beauty, and there's like an air, a little too crude for me. Yeah, Willem is definitely a little too crude sometimes. But I think also like owns it, and also like is very self-critical of times where she's been like a little bit like in the past where maybe she hasn't been as thoughtful as so that's all the stuff after I discovered Girl Talk. And then at some point I went back and ordered all of the other, I know I said we were going, clearly I never followed through on that. So I went back and ordered some of the older issues all the way back to the beginning. So like I said, I think I have all of the issues. Yeah, like Hill Street Blues. Yeah, early stuff. So here is CoverGirl Lana Reeves. And then we have Urban Cowgirl Madeline. So these are the earlier ones. So these are when they're a little bit smaller because all the other ones are bound like this. So as the magazine grew, they all had like a spine on them. These, the earlier ones, are all just like stapled. So they're much, so you can see how the magazine grew over the years. So this was Cowgirl Madeline. And then we had Asia Flirting with Fashion. Asia Vital became part of the magazine and did a lot of stuff. Julie Strain, I loved her. She was in some Roger Corman movies. Shadana. Shadana wasn't on season 1 of... who am I thinking of? Was she on season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race? Is there another Drag Race, future Drag Race person on here? Shadana. No, who's the person that I'm thinking of? Shadana. Drag Race? Question mark? Shadana is a well-known veteran Madonna impersonator. She's frequently referenced alongside her contemporary Viva Sex and performed regularly in New York, and other major cities prior to the popularization of Madonna challenges on RuPaul's Drag Race. So she wasn't, but there's somebody from, God, who was that one? She came back for an All-Stars like way later, but she had like a makeup DVD that I think I have here somewhere. Okay. See, now we're never going to leave because then I start having questions and I'm like, what's going on? Drag Race season 1. Drag Taste, not Drag Taste. Drag Race season 1 cast. BB Zahara. I've known BB Zahara for a long time. I knew her before Drag Race. Chanel, but with an SH. That's what I was getting confused. It's Chanel. Okay. Julie Strain was married to Kevin Eastman for a while. He co-created Ninja Turtles. I love that. So Shadana, we have that. And then we have Frank Marino, who is like a Vegas legend. Very excited. And then we have CoverGirl Cassandra Fever. Let's see. CoverGirl, interview with CoverGirl Bijou. So the early episodes, the people who were involved in making the magazine were often also the CoverGirls. And then we have the Chanel twins. The Chanel twins. Christy Girlington, which is this one, we're friends on Facebook. And actually, I had sent her a picture. I was going through some stuff, and I was like, I have the Girl Talk magazine that you were in. And she was one of the early cover models, along with I guess they used to be like a duo, Linda and Christy Girlington, and I think they split because she doesn't talk about the other one. And then this one, Volume 1, Number 1, interview with CoverGirl Katie T, and you can see that the design like improved over the. Oh, Chris Bohalian. I just saw your comment down. Chris Bohalian. 5'10" and worth the climb. I love that. Oh, yes. So that's my adventure with Girl Talk, and we unpacked some trauma. And now we're like 10 minutes over 2 hours. So we really should go. Dawn, I hope you're happy that I came on. You had said, maybe you'll come on later. And I was like, sure, let's do it. So let's go ahead and see if I can remember Marina Boy, not Marina. Oh, okay. Marine Boy, not Marina. Okay. Sorry. Now I'm like invested in this 70s cartoon. So thank you everybody for coming. If you were here in chat, I would love it if you would circle back around when this becomes a video. Leave a comment down below. Replay crew, we know you rock. So definitely leave your thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you. While you are down there, don't forget that you can give me that thumbs up to tell me that you appreciated the video. Or if you are like, girl, why are you bringing out these 20-something-year-old magazines? It's all outdated. Nobody cares. Go ahead and give me that thumbs down. It is all engagement. The algorithm isn't a picky bitch, and neither am I. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and switch it to all so you'll be notified every time I do a video or upload. I try really hard to make sure I have at least one video or live per week, and sometimes, if you're lucky, if you're very lucky, you might even get a bonus video. Oh, Girl Talkerific! If you'd like to chat, banter, or commiserate between uploads, all of my social media will be linked down in the description box below, including a link to my website, just pretend it's there, The World of Champagne at janessaj.com. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate all of you. Yay, this was fun. Bedtime anyway. Marine Boy, huh? I'll have to look. Yep, thank you. Appreciate you all. Yes, I appreciate you too, CJ. I love that you bring sometimes some deep conversation into the chat. I am here for that. I love it when everybody is giving us all kinds of ideas and we're all sharing and having a good time and deep thoughts. I know some of it got a little deeper than we sometimes go. It was a little bit less frivolous than we sometimes go, but I had a good time. So thank you everybody for stopping by, and until I see you again, bye. All right, now figuring out how to awkward end of the stream. There it is. Okay, and okay, bye.